everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kendra and today I'll be doing my March book haul. I have a few books that I want to go through. First, I want to go through all of my book of the month selections that I picked out for this month. The first one that I want to talk about is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, and I've already read this book and I loved it so much. I buddy read this one with a couple of my friends, and this is a historical fantasy, I think is what they're actually titling this as. So you're following this woman. She's an apothecary in the late 1700s, and she basically gives poisons to women to basically kill their husbands. So for whatever reason. And then you're also following this woman in present day where she goes to London, and she's there because she finds out that her husband just recently cheated on her. So she went there for her anniversary. They were supposed to go together, but she ended up going by herself instead, and she ends up going mud larking, I think is what it's called, and she finds this like little bottle and she traces it back to the woman that you are following in the beginning, the apothecary in the late 1700s. So this book was really good, and I will definitely give you all of my final thoughts on this one in my March wrap up. The next book that I have is The Death of Vogie, and this one I have seen everywhere and I heard it's super emotional. This one is set in Nigeria, and you're following this guy. He has like he suffers from blackouts, moments of disconnection between self and surroundings, and just based upon the title, I'm assuming he dies. So like I said, I've seen this one everywhere and I heard it's super emotional, so I am really excited to finally read this one. The next one that I have is Too Good to Be True by Carola Lovering, and this is a thriller. This is like the tagline on the back says, one love story, two marriages, three versions of the truth. And this woman apparently finds out that her soon-to-be husband is already married. So this sounds like it's going to be really good, and I'm really excited to read this one. And the last book of the month selection that I have is What's Mine and Yours by Namia Coaster, and this is about two students. One goes to a predominantly black school and one goes to a predominantly white school, and they end up going into the same school. I'm not sure if like one of the schools closes and they have to join all of these students together, but it is their story and about their families. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. Next, I want to go through the books that I received from publishers. The first one is 6 Weeks to Live by Catherine McKenzie, and this book goes on sale May 4th. And I received this one from Atria Books, and this is about a woman. She has terminal cancer and only has 6 weeks to live, but then she finds out that she may have been poisoned, so she's trying to figure out who poisoned her. So this sounds like it's going to be really good, and I'm really excited to read this one. The next book that I have is The Warsha Orphan by Kelly Rimmer. This book comes out in June, and I received this one from Graydon House Publishing, and this is a World War II historical fiction. You're following this woman. She must decide if she's going to give up her newborn baby or let it starve. So this sounds like it's going to be a super heartbreaking story. I have loved Kelly Rimmer's other historical fiction, and I'm really excited to read this one. And the next book that I have received is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and this book comes out in June, and I received this one from Celadon Books. Before I ever got this arc, I got this really cryptic postcard, which was very strange, and then I found out that it was basically telling me that I was going to get this arc, which I thought was so cool. And then this one actually came with another postcard, and these like postcards are super creepy, by the way. So that's really cool. But anyways, this book is another thriller, which I'm super excited to read this one. You're following this man. He is a professor at a university and he's a murderer. So you already know he's a murderer. And he also is involved with this female secret society on the university, and one of the women in the secret society is found murdered. So this just sounds like it's going to be absolutely amazing, and I'm really excited to read this one. And the last book that I've received is Mother May I by Jocelyn Jackson. I'm really excited to read this one. I love Never Have I Ever. This book comes out next month in April, and this is about a woman. She sees this woman standing like outside of her kid's window, and then when she goes to pick up her daughter from school, her son ends up vanishing from her car, and she sees that same woman again. But then she gets like a note, and the note says, if you want your baby back, do not call the police and do not deviate from any of the instructions that she must follow. So I'm really excited to read this one, and I'm really hoping it is as good as Never Have I Ever. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. The next book that I have is a song book of Benny Lament by Amy Harmon. This is a historical fiction set in the 1960s in New York, and you're following a pianist and a vocalist, and they join together and they just have amazing music. And I believe it's like their love story as well. So I'm really excited to pick this one up as well. The next book that I have is The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. And this is another historical fiction. This is set in the 1940s. And you're following 3 female code breakers. And that's really all I know about this one. I've seen amazing reviews about it, and I'm really excited to pick this one up. The next book that I have is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers, and this is about a woman. She just graduated with her PhD in astronomy, and she ends up going to Vegas to celebrate, and she ends up marrying another woman while she was drunk. So this sounds like it's going to be so amazing, and I can't wait to read this one. The next book that I have is Universe of Two by Stephen B. Kiernan, and this is about a man. He is in the secret Manhattan Project where he is working on building an atomic bomb, and he does not know that this is the atomic bomb that is dropped on Japan during World War II. So you're just following him, and this book sounds like it's going to be really interesting and very heartbreaking as well. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. The next book that I have is Sparks Like Stars by Nadia Hashimi, and this is a book that is set in Kabul in Afghanistan during the 1970s, and you're following this woman. When she was younger, her whole entire family was killed, so you're just following her story, and I've heard it's very devastating, and I'm really excited to read this one as I haven't read many books set in Afghanistan, so I'm really excited to read this one. The next book that I have is Hum If You Don't Know the Words by Bianca Marnus, and this is a book set in the 1970s in Johannesburg, South Africa. I've never read any books set in South Africa, so I'm definitely interested in reading this one, and I've heard amazing things about this book, so super excited to finally read this one. And those are all the books that I have acquired in the month of March. Let me know in the comments if you've read these books and what you thought about them, and let me know what new books that you picked up this month. And until then, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!